All right, we're live and welcome back to the channel, everybody. I'm Coach Lalonde. If you haven't seen, we are here in the offices of Precision Elite Training, and we'd like to welcome you. If it's your first time ever being here, leave us a comment. Let us know who you are, where you're watching from. It's always great to interact with the people who are getting the benefit from the information. And we are here in week 6. So if you haven't already seen, there are 5 weeks prior to help you get your journey started. What we want to try and do is help the people who are a little bit confused about where to start when trying on the fitness journey to either build lean muscle mass or reduce body fat. A lot of times when people talk about weight loss, they don't really know what they're talking about in the way of wanting to lose weight. When we put it in the frame of only wanting to lose body fat, it's not nearly as much loss as you thought you really wanted. When you're chasing a weight on the scale, often is the worst thing you can do because it's going to set you up for an experience of trying to lose so much more than you actually need to lose. If I asked you to lose muscle and water and bone density and all of your good health, you wouldn't want to part with that. That's why we don't want to lose weight. We just want to lose body fat. Let's frame that into a conversation today about doing everything we've talked about so far and expecting yourself to be perfect. Today's episode is about being perfect or expecting perfectionism. Before we get into the episode, of course, always everybody who's watching this, I thank you from the bottom of my heart for allowing me to do what I get to do for a living. And I hope that it's helping your life. But one thing you can do to help us, help our YouTube channel grow, is to hit the subscribe button. Down in the corner somewhere, you're going to find an option to subscribe to the channel. If you haven't already done that, please do it now. If you have the opportunity to also like this video, it'll help boost this video in the algorithm. And one more thing, if you know anybody who could benefit from some coaching that is free and it has information to clear and declutter a lot of the noise online right now, we've been doing fitness the right way for a lot of years now. Over 25 to 30 years we've been in this business. Myself as the very first client, I've lost 80 pounds and kept it off. Many of you know the story. We'll talk about that in another time. But today, it's to just make sure that you're sharing the video with someone who could really use the information. All right. That being said, you've had time to subscribe and like and share. Let's get those notepads out and let's get down to business. I've got some notes in front of me to make sure, as always, that I don't miss some of the things I wanted to talk about. So if I'm looking down, it's only to see the notes. It's not because I'm avoiding you or talking directly to you. So the last episode we had talked about, I wanted to just kind of check back in with you guys. We were talking about making smarter choices. If you haven't seen that episode, please do look back on that. Talking about how foods are cooked and condiments and extra hidden calories that can sneak into your diet. At the end of that video, there was some homework. Hopefully you've done the homework and now you have had a chance to see. And if you want to leave in the comments and let us know how the homework's paying off in any one of the first 5 weeks, you can comment that here if you'd like as well in the comment section. Of course, if you want to comment, you've got to be a subscriber. That's part of the deal. So click subscribe if you want to leave us a comment. All right, and here we go. Get your notebooks ready about being a perfectionist. The first and foremost thing that you need to realize is that if you're going to go all in on being fit and healthy, it's a lifelong journey. It's not a quick 30-day fix. It's not 75 hard. It's not any particular challenge, which is why I called this a weight loss challenge. And then I pre-framed it by saying, I don't like challenges. I don't like to do challenges. Again, a lot of people find those are small time frames they can commit to, and I'll try it, see how I do. And if I don't do well, then hey, I can quit. That's why I don't like challenges, because in a small time frame, you've given yourself the opportunity to back out. If you're going to change something and you really want to change it and it means something to you, you got to go all in and you got to stay on that journey. It can't be try it for now and see what happens. It's going to be, I will start the wheels rolling. I will continue to learn and I'll make this work and I will learn as I go. So do you need to be a perfectionist to absolutely get the result you want down into that low body fat percentage, that really aesthetic, good looking, muscular physique that you want, high amounts of energy level, all of the things you think fitness is going to bring you? Do you need to be absolutely perfect to get that? Here's how I'm going to frame that. If you are looking to compete in physique competition, if you're looking to get on stage and be a fitness model or whatever it is for competitive reasons, then you're going to need to be as close to perfect as you can be. But if you're not looking to compete, you're not looking to compete with anybody but yourself. You just want to be healthy, happy, and take a holistic approach, which is what we preach here at Precision Elite Training. We want you to succeed lifelong, not for a short time and rebound. We want you to not have to be perfect. Okay. Perfect is very hard to achieve. Nobody's perfect. And even the greatest individuals who compete, who dial everything right in, and they do a pretty darn good job of it. I mean, they look amazing when they get on stages, but we got to realize that level is, even for them, only a short period. And then they take time off from that. And when they take the time off, do they still look like they were stage ready? No. Any one of them will tell you it's a different lifestyle. It's a rebound. It's a bulking. It's a completely different hormonal balance, even when you take on such weight gain and weight loss and all of these ups and downs. What if there was an easier way to just live happy with how you look, how you feel, and the strength you have, how good you sleep? We talked about the pillars, right? We're going to talk about that today. And we're going to keep this episode fairly short because it's really just about mindset. Being perfect isn't possible, but being graceful to yourself is possible. And understanding that we're going to take a look at a bigger picture instead of trying to hone in on a small, short, incremental amount of time. Write that in your journal if you don't mind. Making sure this is a lifelong journey and not a short-term challenge. Okay. And so I wanted to kind of talk about one of the biggest mistakes that people get in their journey is the high amount of stress they put on themselves right from the get-go about going all in and being perfect. You've already set yourself up for a car that's going to get out of control. And what happens when a car gets out of control? The minute you do one thing wrong, you completely feel like you've lost control. And now you're so far off of being perfect by doing just one thing wrong that you almost want to give up and crash, right? And just let it all go. Forget it. I knew this was not for me. It happens all too often. And I've seen so many clients go down that road. And that's where I step in and say, this is why you're coaching with me. We're not just doing here's a cookie cutter workout. Here's a cookie cutter nutrition plan. Follow it and you'll be great. Because the minute you don't follow it, you feel like you're not great and you fail. And there's no coach there to talk to. There's nobody there holding you accountable and having a conversation with you to get you back on track. You know what I'm talking about? So many people do. And here's the thing. Here's the analogy. If that car was spinning out of control and one tire blew on the car and it comes to a stop with one tire blown, that's making one mistake. Do you get out and slash the other three tires? Because, hey, I already went off track. See, that's the expectation of perfectionism, is if all four tires aren't running, then I'm done. So I might as well just go out and hack the other three. That doesn't make any sense, does it? It's almost sounding silly. So would you go out and change the tire and get back on the road? Yes, of course you would. You'd look at, I need to get to my destination. One blown tire isn't going to stop me. Heck, 2 or 3 blown tires won't stop me. I can replace all those tires by doing the right things and getting back on the road. So that's what it's about. Being able to say, give yourself some grace. Mistakes are going to happen. We want to get reframed and back on the road again. Okay? Be patient. It's a long game. That's what it is. It's about the journey and who you become in the process of transformation. Who you become is worth way more than the end result. When you finally get to that weight you thought you wanted to be at, then what? This is why a lot of people who get surgeries that take the weight off, or they take a magic pill drug that helps them reduce calories so much that they lose all their weight, muscle included, and then they get there, and then what? Who did you become in the journey? If you took a quick fix approach, you haven't changed at all. And at the end of that, without being a different person, you're going to go back to the person you were, the person you were unhappy with in the first place, right? So what can you do? Take your time. Don't be perfect. Be consistent. If you're going to write anything down today, it's that. Write down that you want to be consistent. All right? So fitness is all about consistency. Every little speed bump in the road is just a speed bump in the road. Don't turn them into big boulders and blockades. They're just bumps. You can work around them. No matter how big it seems to you at the time, you'll look back on it when you get past it as a small obstacle. And again, that might not be the case when you first face it, but trust me, on the winning side of it, they're all learning experiences. The more you can get uncomfortable and start to learn to embrace that uncomfort, the better you're going to be. I guarantee it. It's like lifting weights. The muscle gets stronger the more you challenge it and tear it a little bit outside the comfort zone. And inside of that challenge, you're forcing change. You can do this with all areas of your life, but forcing too much change at a time can really be overwhelming. That's what perfectionism does. It forces too much change at once. Don't be expecting yourself to be perfect. Instead, think about this over the course of time. So instead of thinking about your food intake over the course of a day, do what I do with my clients. Think of it over the course of a week. I have clients journal their food using apps like MyFitnessPal. There's Fat Secret. There's a few different ones out there you can check out and you can utilize. Even in our own Precision Elite Training app, we have a food tracker in there. You can use any tool you want. Some people are still old school with pen and paper. Totally up to you. You'd have to do a lot of math that way. These apps are digitally set to do the math for you, telling you how much protein is in your food you eat, how much carbs, fats, and even micronutrients are all in there. So there's a lot of deep dive the app does for you. But I'm not here to sell you on an app. I'm here to help you understand that tracking it out over 7 days is more graceful than trying to go all in and do one perfect day. Because just like the tires on the car, if you don't have that perfect day, you feel like you failed the week. You're like, oh my God, I'm off track. I blew it. And so that gives you some kind of weird permission to just go and all in on indulging and binging and having this just calorie free, forget it. I had that one thing and now I'm set to have a buffet's worth of junk foods, highly processed stuff. All the things we talked about when talking about energy balance can get thrown off if you're falling victim to the perfectionist mindset. Is all of this sitting with you? Is it making sense? Are you understanding that it's okay to give yourself the grace and say, hey, I had one thing, one cookie, or whatever it was, but it was just that one thing. I'm getting back on track. The rest of my day is going to be structured around the good, clean, whole foods, the healthy choices, those smart choices, and those energy balances that I'm shooting for. Okay? So, one blowout day isn't going to change your entire week. When we talk about calories, you're going to hear this said a lot that there are 3,500 calories in a pound. Well, if I said to you, we need to remove 3,500 calories from your diet today, you would starve. There'd be no way you could do that. You're going to take yourself 7 days. And if you removed 500 calories from your total amount of what you usually eat, then you would lose a pound at the end of the week. 500 calories away over 7 days. That's about consistency, isn't it? Taking 500 off of your daily total. What is your daily total? How much do you currently eat right now? Can any of you answer that? Put it in the chat. If you know how many calories you eat today, how many calories you eat on average per week, how many calories are you consuming? Calories are energy units. We've talked about that in episode 1 or 2, and maybe even all the episodes so far. But if you're tracking your calories, the apps that you're using will be able to tell you how many calories you consume on a daily basis. Don't try to impress anybody. Just enter what you normally eat in a day, see what it totals out to. And then if you do that over the course of a week, it will average out to a certain amount of calories. We would call that your caloric maintenance. That's what you're maintaining at right now. From there, you can make a move to create energy balance, as we talked about, surplus, deficit, or maintenance. And again, if you don't know what I'm talking about, go back and watch the episodes earlier on those topics, okay? So once we get this all figured out, folks, it's going to be real easy for you to simplify the process. But the biggest thing you can do is give yourself grace-based nutrition and say grace-based means that I have to allow myself to not be perfect and accept that there are a lot of things out of my control. So let's run down a little list of things that might happen that are out of your control. I've given you a few things here. Life's going to get in the way. There's going to be times where your nutrition, your training, and your sleep aren't all in alignment and all running perfect. The 3 pillars we talked about in a previous episode. The nutrition, training, and sleep are your pillars. So don't stress about it. There's going to be weddings that come up. There's going to be night outs, right? And there's going to be bad days at work. So many people come to me with bad days at work and just stressed out to the max. Stress usually leads to an emotional state of anger. Then that leads to a sense of failure or whatever it is that's causing some kind of a roadblock. And so they dive into what they call comfort food. Now they fall off track because they expected perfectionism. So that one food sets off a trigger to now just dig in and eat the entire bucket of ice cream or whatever it is you've chosen. Why is that? Because you're continuing to now fall victim to highly processed sugars, as we talked about before. We're going to get into, more and more as the weeks go on, because we still got a few more great weeks of free training ahead. But we have to realize that family issues, holidays are also going to present themselves. How do you win when those things are getting in the way? It's going to come down to grace. You're going to have to give yourself that non-perfectionist attitude and say, well, these holidays are coming. These events are going to happen. Nobody's going to have this smooth sail, completely, stress-free life. When they happen, how do you navigate those waters? That's what our coaching really focuses on, is having a coach, having a mentor, having someone who's been there and struggled their way through to understand there's a much easier way to do it now without the struggles. Let us help you avoid the roadblocks. That's why we have coaches. Coaches create game plans. Players get out on the field and play. So does a coach mean that they're better than you? No, it doesn't mean that at all. A coach of a sport team isn't the greatest athlete on that team. There are far better athletes on the field, on the ice, on the gaming table, wherever they are, right? Far better athletes on the field doing their thing. But the coach is the one with the wisdom and the game plans, who has already been there or already studied the game and knows how to avoid the pitfalls and overcome the obstacles and the oppositions. So your coach creates your game plan. Well, what if there's a wedding coming up? What if there's a holiday coming up and you need a game plan? What are you going to do to avoid it? Well, you can start with this free information and say, I'm still looking to try to keep that 500 calorie a day deficit approach. Can you use exercise to create 500 calories of space before you go and consume? Now you don't need to have a deficit at all. You could actually use exercise to create that hole you're looking for that's going to put 500 extra calories in, right? So again, we're talking about energy balance, but we're also talking about preparing, knowing some of these events are happening. The ones you can control them, prepare for them. The ones you can't control, don't stress over them. Don't be that person who gets all worked up about one item that's high calorie or it's processed food and it doesn't align with what you were supposed to be doing. I mean, unless you're someone who's really highly triggered by specific items, like for example, alcohol, high calories, 7 calories per gram, and you're going to, end up with an abundance of calories if you have an alcoholic drink. Some people can do that just fine and say, well, one drink's not going to kill me. I can do that. But other people, that drink might set them off. They've dealt with alcohol issues in the past, and one drink will lead to 2 and 3 and 13. You know what I'm saying? So there are triggers, and I understand that. If that's you, don't even have the first one. Move away from that, find an alternative, give yourself other ways. And we'll coach you through that in our programs. But if you're taking the free information today and just setting your base off of this, prepare where you can, give yourself grace where you can't, and you're going to be fine. All right. So that's what you do when life gets in the way. It's going to happen. There's going to be times of inconsistency. Your job is to create the best consistency you can and say, if I had a really rough day today and the calories went way up over where I was supposed to, can I have a bit of a lower calorie day tomorrow? Or could I create where I eat the same amount, but do exercise expenditure, be more active tomorrow, and have calories on a deficit created through activity? Now you can kind of work off some of the extras you had the other day. And you're going to hear it said, you can't out-train a bad diet, which is true. You can't continually live by this. But is it okay once in a blue moon to have to do that if something arises? For sure. For sure. You can definitely do that. Remember, the workout you do is better than the one you didn't do. That's going to help you out huge. But also in the way of calories, the meal that you had that pushes you over, you can also have less the next day and balance that out a bit. Energy can be balanced over 7 days. It's really difficult to do it in one day. If you're balancing and perfectly in one day, the next day, there's nothing to say it's going to be perfect. So you can't expect perfectionism. That's what today's episode's about. All right. So that's what you do when life gets in the way. And it can be very disheartening for people who think they're going to be perfect at it. And that's why people end up quitting programs. They don't stay in it. They figured they were going to go all in. And then the minute they see something as a failure, they quit. I'm absolutely driven crazy by quitting and people giving up on themselves. If I, as your coach, don't give up on you, I just need you to show up to the game. I'll put together the game plan. You get back on the field, and I guarantee you get results. All you got to do is show up and play. Don't sit on the sidelines and watch everybody else play. Get in the game and play. All right. So here are the final points for today. This is the end of the episode. Thank you all for joining us. I really appreciate you guys so much. Once again, share this video if you got value from it. And if it's giving you or someone you know the chance to get things straightened out. There are a lot of people who are victims right now of comparison on social media. They're looking at people's Instagrams, YouTubes, Facebooks, and they're seeing glossed over models. They're seeing AI generated images of a human face with an AI body. They've got their shirt open and they've got a six-pack ab set. And it's not even the real image. You really got to watch what you're giving credit to online. And even the people you think you know could be imposed on a body that they don't own. Everybody's out to put out their highlight reel. Okay, they're not going to show you their worst day. They're going to show you their best day. And even then, they're going to airbrush that best day. They're going to gloss it over a little bit, sparkle it up, put a filter over it. If you want real results and real comparisons, real things you should be looking for, look in the mirror. That's who you're competing with. It's you. And take the version of you yesterday, make a better version of you today, and I guarantee you're going to set yourself up for success instead of this comparison and this paralysis by analysis, overthinking things, trying to find more information before you dive into taking action. Just stop. It's crazy to think that people are quitting because they feel like they're failing. They can't be perfect, and I'm never going to look like him or never going to look like her. There's just so much BS in it all. Okay, you can't trust any of that stuff that's out there. Stop comparing to it. Start really living in your own life. Okay, that's what's really going to matter the most. What's on your plate right in front of you? Focus on that. Slow down. Enjoy it. Chew slowly. Ingest, absorb. Let your body do what it's supposed to do. Give it time. Give it grace. That goes for the scale. It goes for everything. Give it time. Give it grace. Be consistent. All right, final points for the day. You're human. You're going to slip up. Stop expecting perfection. Stop stressing about the things you can't control. Think about your food intake over the course of 7 days instead of just 1 day at a time. 1 day at a time is a good way to pace yourself. But at the end of the day, things are going to come up. Stresses are going to come up. Job situations, holidays, weddings, as we talked about. Plan around that. Look at it over the course of 7 days. How can I create a 3,500 calorie deficit over 7 days so that I can still lose a pound of weight this week? That's where you want to frame your work. Okay? That's going to help change the game for you. And finally, there's rarely going to be a time where all the elements are falling into place and you've got it all perfect, right? We talked about the 3 pillars, the nutrition, the training, and the sleep. Work on each of those things week by week. And each week, take one of them and dive right into it and say, this week, I'm going to work on my sleep. I'm not going to be perfect, but I'm going to really try to set up the parameters to get the best version of it I can. Next week, I'm going to really try and dive into the nutrition. And then I'm going to dive into the strength training. And each of those weeks, get a little better. And as they all get better, they're going to get better together. One at a time, starts to become a team. Every player on the team getting better. And then you've got a better team, which is overall you, inside your body, your vehicle. All right? And this game is all about consistency. So I'm going to give you this nutrition to take this homework to take the grace-based nutrition approach this week. And as you're going through the calories, I want you to set up for reducing 3,500 calories from your diet this week. But in doing that, you could keep your diet the same and spend 3,500 calories this week extra. And you wouldn't have to cut back on your diet at all. There would be no calorie deficit. You can create the deficit by being more active. That would be the healthier and more sustainable way to do this. But if you're not an active person, you're absolutely just not desired to do any exercise, you're barely getting outside for walks or anything else, which I advise against, then you would have to take the nutritional deficit approach. And in doing that, you're looking to reduce at least 500 calories a day, which could lead to 3,700 calories at the end of 7 days. And that's going to give you a pound of weight loss a week. I can't wait to hear back from you as to how much weight you're losing if that body fat's coming off properly, and how much muscle you're gaining if you are exercising and you are working out and you're creating your caloric deficits through exercise expenditure. That's going to really help. The more active you are, the more neat activity you'll get. And some of you don't even remember what neat activity might be. You've never heard of it. You have to watch some of our previous episodes where we talk about that in the calorie balance. But you could put all that expenditure together and create the deficit you're looking for without having to starve yourself, without having to restrict calories at all. I can't wait to hear about the weight loss that you're getting from fat loss, the muscle that you're getting from training and building and putting together a really good plan for yourself. If you need more help, always reach out and ask us. If not, I will watch for you in the comment section. I can't wait to hear about your results, and I look forward to seeing you guys again next week. Number 7 is coming up out of 10. So stay with us and subscribe to the channel, share it up, and we'll see you next time.